Okay, yes, you can start.
I can start? Okay, good morning, everybody. It's nice to be able to link with you. These are very difficult times, and some of us are more fortunate than others. And all I can do is wish you well, stay safe, and good luck with everything that you're trying to do. I don't know how else to say that. All right, so let me get straight into this. I was asked to try to address some of the questions that may arise in relation to the accreditation exercise that is upcoming or pending, and also specifically to do with the students' input into the self-study. So let me begin now. I understand that a presentation that Rachel put together, which is a lot more exciting than mine, was already circulated to you. I have used some of her material. I've corrected one or two small errors on it and shortened it a bit. So I'm going to try to run through that quickly. I guess the best thing to do is to try to save up your questions. If I don't answer them along the way, then please ask them at the end. So these are the questions I thought might be the most important in relation to the exercise and to familiarize yourself with the process. I don't know which students are there, but some of the more senior students may actually have been through this exercise before. Sometimes the accreditation cycle comes around while students are still in the program. All right, so let me deal with quickly what is accreditation. Now, that's a definition. It's very similar to what Rachel had in her slides. I want to make 2 points. To the sort of good housekeeping stamp of approval that accreditation provides. It is very important in improving program delivery and the quality of the program. We have found that over the last 15 years, really, that it has made a big difference to how we do things and in trying to keep quality. So that's the first point. The second point is that last thing at the bottom. The difference between accreditation versus licensure, perhaps you understand, but accreditation is no guarantee. When your school is accredited or you graduate from a school that is accredited by any accrediting agency, it's no guarantee that if you wish to work in a particular place, that you would get a license to practice. That's a registration requirement that is controlled by the regulatory body, the medical councils in the country or region where you wish to be. Now, currently, accreditation of the UWI program, which we maintain, is recognized by the councils in the region. So, in a sense, it's an automatic process, but only in the region. If you go somewhere else, it is no guarantee that if you're accredited, you would be licensed in a particular jurisdiction. So I just want to make that point. Okay, so the people who are accrediting us, I'm sure you've heard this before, long word, but CAMHP is the acronym. It was established in 2004 as a CARICOM body. It has a board which is very representative of the region, the schools in the region, not just UWI, and the governments in the region, and also has international membership. I am currently a member of the board. I used to represent UWI. I no longer am there as a representative of civil society. It is quite a large board and it meets once a year. The secretariat is located currently in Jamaica. But it serves the entire region. As you can see there, the important bodies that have recognized CAMHP itself as the reputable or the agency that they accept are the, first of all, as I already mentioned, the regional medical councils and CAMC. Therefore, if you graduate with a UWI degree, you can be licensed in any of the CARICOM territories. The other agencies are the United States, ECFMG, the persons who run the USMLE exam, General Medical Council in Britain, and the World Federation for Medical Educators. Just a side point. You see the website is down there, that's easy to find, so we don't need to really write that down. On this particular visit that is pending, the CAM has indicated that there will be observers who are not accrediting us, but they are examining the process of accreditation. And they, in a sense, they are accrediting the accreditors. And those representatives from the World Federation will be there. I think they were there in 2012, and they are returning because if they accredit, if they recognize CAM through this process of observing an accreditation exercise and the processes that they carry out, then the World Federation will extend its recognition of CAM for another 10 years. We were the first school to be accredited in 2006, and we have over the last, since then, we have been accredited continuously. And the current period ends in next year, 2021. Now, you may see, if you go on their website, you can see all schools in the region that have been visited or have applied for accreditation by CAM, not just UWI, but the other offshore schools, as well as UWI dentistry and veterinary programs and so on. They're all listed there. And you may see accreditation with conditions. Let me make it clear that almost no school anywhere, anytime, is ever fully accredited without any conditions. Remember, I spoke about improvement, self-improvement. Conditions means that they expect you to do something, take some action to improve something between the period, during the period of accreditation that has been given. So almost all schools you will see accredited with conditions. The process is very simple. You apply, or in this case, reapply for accreditation. At the top, a self-study. School carries out a self-study, which is what we are in the process of doing. Then there's a site visit by the team from the accreditation agency. They send a report, and a decision on accreditation is made by the board, excuse me. And then, if you are accredited, you still have to annually submit an annual report so that they can see what progress you are making. It's not just a matter of coming back in 5 years and doing it all again. You are expected to do things in between. Just that what you need to know is that, of course, what we are going through at Mona is being done on all the campuses and teaching sites in the Bahamas and so on. And basically what accreditation does is it says what objectives, what do you have objectives, and what are they? Are they programs and resources organized to achieve these? And then what evidence can we show that we are in fact achieving those objectives? Those are the kinds of the basic questions that underpin the whole of the accreditation process. So it's a big exercise. Thankfully, it's not every year. And they have 5 big sections, which I'll go to. We have to submit data and analyze those areas. We have to send them a list of all of our courses and flagships in detail. And highlighted there is an independent student analysis and a report. And then the whole thing is summarized in a big summary statement. And just to make the point that that summary report includes all the campuses, not just Mona. I used to be the person responsible for that for the last 3 visits, but I've handed that over to a new person, Dr. Bradshaw in Trinidad. These are some of Rachel's slides. So essentially the 5 sections are basically the institution itself, how is it governed, is it part of a university, how does it relate to the rest of the university, etc. Is there a board, all of that stuff. Then the students, of course, entry requirements, selection of students, student services, the learning environment, etc. And that's where your report will particularly speak to. But the school has to also report on it from their perspective. Then there's the program itself, the objectives, the content, and so on. You'll see it there, the faculty. And lastly, there is the educational resources, meaning finance and general facilities, and specifically clinical teaching facilities, and stuff like the library and information resources. So those are the 5 big areas that we have to address. Just to give you an idea of the reporting deadlines for this particular self-study, we need to wrap up and submit everything to Trinidad, to the person in Trinidad who is compiling reports from all the other campuses by September the 15th. So our deadline, our working deadline here is to have everything ready and submitted, all the reports from the teams working on the 5 areas, and the student report, to have that done by July the 31st. So you will see those dates come up again, but that is what the working timeline. We have to submit the documents by the early part of December, because they have to be submitted 3 months prior to the visit. And we have been warned that the visit will take place at the end of March to the first week in April. So the students would be, their role in this whole exercise is that they need to carry out this independent student survey, which I'll speak to again, analyze it, and submit a report on it. It's not just a matter of just collecting the data, but the comments on some of the data is expected. Students should also be and are already participating on section groups, those 5 sections that I spoke of. Clearly, the one on the students would involve students, but other groups may require student input as well. So their participation in that respect. And then lastly, when the visit actually takes place, there will be students who will be meeting with the team to answer questions and to give their perspectives face-to-face if we have that meeting. So the study itself, there is a format which is provided by the agency. So you will adhere generally to that format, the types of questions. It's a general format sent to all the schools. The student body on each campus leads that study and carries it out, so we don't interfere. And you need to make sure that the students participate, particularly all the students, and we don't have a missing class or only 2 students respond. We expect you to be totally honest, and if there is a problem, we don't wish you to sweep it under the carpet. We need you to bring it up in a constructive way. So this is the problem. We think this is how it should be fixed, or some statement rather than just saying it's not working, etc., etc. The timeline is there. So I think the students have agreed that they wish to complete the survey itself by the end of next month, and so that they have June to report and submit to me in July. Now, when I say submit to me, it's really submitted direct to CAM. We don't interfere with it. But the students on the other campuses are also doing the same thing. So, there is a combined report sent in. These are areas that Rachel, I think, picked out, but they're important. They're parts of that survey. These are the sorts of questions around these areas are particularly important, and I won't read them for you, but you can see what they relate to. This presentation that I'm using here can be shared, although, as I said, a lot of this has already been sent to you. So the preparation for the site visit itself now. We are informed ahead of time the dates, the exact dates, who is coming. We know exactly who is coming and what their CVs are. So we know if it's a microbiologist. They're all persons involved in medical education, but they would be persons. Usually there are at least 2 international team members. The team is usually 4 or 5 persons. There's a regional person, but there are also international representatives. And because they're visiting all the campuses, it goes on for about 2 weeks. But at Mona, since that's the biggest campus, it usually goes on for 4 to 5 days, basically the first week. We are also given a schedule, and that is worked out in collaboration with the Secretariat as to what they want to do. There is a standard schedule, but it varies sometimes, and we can make suggestions, although they have the final say. If they say they want to meet final year students only, we have to find final year students only. But generally they meet students in the early years, a group of students in the early years and a group of students in the other years, apart from students on other committees, on other meetings that they may have. There are 2 specific meetings with students that there are no faculty around. And they have lunch with you essentially, and in an informal atmosphere, try to determine the real thing. You will decide, you will pick the students who are to represent you on that. And the idea is, you don't pick everybody who, is a yes person. You have people there who may have some criticisms and so on. As I said, we need to be honest about it. If I'm also part of CAM's accrediting team, so I have visited other schools on behalf of CAM. When we go to these schools and speak to the students, if everybody says everything is wonderful, this is the greatest place I have ever been, and everybody is nice, and the dean is a fantastic person, and everything is perfect, they don't believe it. Likewise, if somebody stands up and berates something and starts getting almost personal, they don't believe that either. So they're looking to get a broad picture, but they don't expect everything to be perfect. And that's how it goes. So that's very important. Then there's a lot of logistics planning, pickups and drop-offs, and the rooms for them to meet in, and so on. And but we are involved in some of this, and the dates are known ahead of time, and the schedule is known ahead of time. So how do you get involved? As I said, you need to promote the survey amongst your colleagues and classmates and make them aware of the whole exercise, which is what I think your executive is trying to do. They're trying to sensitize the students to what is coming and volunteer to help, if possible, with carrying out the survey or in any way possible. And then, you should almost want to be a part of the student panel. It's a very good experience to do that. And of course, as I said, complete the survey and encourage others. So there's the planning of the survey, execution of the survey, and then sending in the report. So, as you know, there are many outcomes depending on whether you're a new school or a school that's already accredited. For us, essentially, it will either be that they continue accreditation, as I said, with or without conditions, usually with conditions, and they give a period. They do not normally accredit a school for longer than the duration of the program. So for us, the maximum period would be 5 years. But sometimes they give 3 years and say, look, you need to fix this during this 3 years. They give you time to fix something, and then they would extend it for the further 2 years if necessary. And that's happened several times with us and with other schools. If things are really terrible, you may be put on probation which means that you better fix it right now or you're in trouble. And then lastly, accreditation withdrawn. We do not anticipate either of those two. We expect, based on our past performance, that we will continue to be accredited, but it's important that we fulfill and meet the standards as usual. This is the task force. We don't need to know all of this, but each of the sections has someone, and you see you have your student reps on that committee. And we also have a representative from Nassau because we are responsible for Nassau. Nassau is doing their own data collection. And that's it from me. So I will stop there. I have the presentation in front of me on another screen. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. So maybe you can, Gabrielle, you can connect us all now, or you will take questions. I'm going to ask Gabrielle or her delegate to control questions, and I will try to address them. Right.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, is that Felicity?
Yes, I have a question, Professor. Okay, so I'm a final year student, and for us right now, the exit exam is going to be done online. So I'm wondering, since you said that all of this is a process that has to be approved at every step, I'm wondering, I know that there have been surveys for the students to answer and give their feedback, but I'm wondering, would it be that the students will get a mock exam so that they can be introduced to this software and become familiarized with it and not see it for the first time when you're doing their exit exam?
Well, first of all, that's not my job at the moment. I have heard this discussion. I've been a part of the team that has been trying to work out how to do the exam. I agree with you. I think it would be nice if you could have a mock exam. I believe they may be trying to do that. I don't know. I thought the question was going to be, if we do all of this stuff and you have whatever it is, some kind of online exam, how will that affect accreditation? Because that's really what I'm here to address. CAM itself is having its own challenges because CAM has had to cancel a number of their own site visits in the last few months, which were planned to other schools. And all the agencies, I mean, this is an unprecedented situation. We don't know everything, and CAM is clearly going to have to take all of this into consideration. So, we're going to have to do things differently, and we have to deal with that. We don't have to ask their permission to have an exit exam or not to have an exit exam, or what form the exit exam will take. We don't have to get their permission. But when we do it, we need to do it with using the best evidence available. We need to do it in the most, in the best way possible for everyone. And that includes the question that you just raised. So CAM may ask, did you have a mock exam? When they come, they will assess what you did. We don't have to get their permission to do it, but we have to answer their questions when they come. So that is why all these surveys, and that's why there's a cross-campus team trying to work this out. What is best for you all to get you graduated, because it's you who are suffering in a sense, and we worry about what the actions that some of the other countries have taken with just graduating everybody without an exam or without any further assessment, just saying we give you all a pass. We're not so happy because of the need to demonstrate this. The other challenge we have is the one that I mentioned before, that the exam that you do, the UWI exam, is not just a qualifying exam. At the moment, let's take the existing or traditional exam. It isn't simply a qualifying exam to give you a degree. It is also recognized by the medical councils in the region. And therefore, it's automatic if you do the exam, if you graduate, that you would be licensed to practice in the region, as I mentioned. But if we don't have that, then will the councils, what we don't want is for you to graduate and then apply for a job in wherever, Trinidad or Barbados or wherever, and then get told by the medical council there where you didn't fulfill the requirements for licensure. So we need to bear all of this in mind when we are planning whatever form of assessment we have, but we are clearly trying to facilitate the students in whatever way we can. And the accreditation agency will also have to recognize that this is a strange situation no one has been in before. And they themselves, they have already indicated that if this current lockdown situation, if you want to call it, was to persist, they couldn't have a physical visit, because the examiners and the team couldn't travel internationally and so on. So, can their exercise also be carried out online? They're learning too. So this is not a simple solution. So, but the summary of all of that is that I can't answer your question specifically, but I know that it is being discussed for the very reasons that you gave.
Okay, so because I thought that the university was in the process of getting the exam accredited because of the different steps that you outlined. I saw that the faculty was doing exactly that and was past the stage of like student survey and was supposedly going to the point of a visit, as you said. So to the accreditation, you're basically saying that right now you don't know how it's going to swing, because you're saying maybe the regional board won't accept the things that we have implemented.
I'm saying that, remember, I separated accreditation from licensure at the beginning of this presentation. And I said that even if we are accredited and you go to another place, it is up to that place to say, okay, we recognize your degree or we don't. Okay, now currently, the CARICOM countries in the region recognize it. Okay, and so if we abandon it and say we have no exam, I'm just saying if we said we had no exam, they would have to buy into that. So there would have to be a discussion with them, which there has been, I know, as to what would happen. Would they have to change the law? All of this sort of issue comes up, but it doesn't affect accreditation directly. Accreditation is a different exercise and has there are different reasons for doing it, or other reasons for doing it. And as I said, the challenge is that this is not a situation that anyone has been through before, including the accreditation agency. So, I can say, well, I don't know what's going to happen. That's what you're hearing everywhere. Everything is uncertain. We don't know when the lockdown will be over. We don't know when international travel, and that's true, okay? But we have to plan, and that's what we are trying to do, and to do it in the most effective and fair way. I mean, the simple thing would be to say no exam. You know, just graduate you all, give you a degree. But I don't know if that's the best option in the situation. And we all are hopeful that although we're going to have, as I say, a new normal when this is all over, that we will get back to some form of stability so that we can get back to business, if you want.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
All right. Sorry, I'm not sure I'm satisfying you, but I'm trying.
I understood what you're saying perfectly. It was very clear, and I appreciated it. So, because what I didn't understand, I think I missed the first part of the session when you were talking about licensing and accreditation. So that part was absolutely clear, and I appreciate that. Even though you may say that you don't know what is going to happen, I appreciate your inputs and just to hear your opinion on the situation.
Thanks, Felicity.
Jordana?
Hi, good afternoon. I have so what are two questions. For example, we don't get the student survey completed by the particular time. You're shaking your head. What are the implications for that? One, and second question, suppose CAMHP comes and they're just like, you know, we don't feel like we need to accredit you. I mean, it's highly unlikely, but if that's the case, what are the repercussions of that? What would that look like in terms of, you know, our degree status, etc.? I'm hoping you understand the question.
It has nothing to do with your degree. I mean, we can, as I said, we can do what we want and graduate you without an exam, with an exam. We can graduate you in the 4th year. We can do what we want. But we have to meet over 100 standards if we wish to have an accredited degree, or if we wish our program to be accredited. Accreditation, as I explained at the beginning, is important in the sense that it's a stamp of approval. It's an international, now it's international. Before it was regional only when it started. But now, because the agency itself has been recognized by international agencies as the reputable and representational accrediting body for this region, then they have that provides a bit more clout, if you want, for your degree. So accreditation is important. So there were a couple of questions in there. The first one was about, well, if you don't get the survey completed in time. I don't really think that's likely. The survey may not be exactly how you want it. I have been to schools where an entire class wasn't surveyed because they were on holiday and things like that. No, that's something that could have been fixed. But you know, that didn't stop the school from, by itself. Some of these things it's not an all or none thing. You know, okay, the survey is not finished, so therefore you're not accredited. That's not going to happen. CAM looks at everything, okay? And as I said, you can go to the documents, so you see the standards that we have to meet. And there are a large number of them, and some are critical and some are not as critical. So I don't think that the business about the survey, which, as I said, I can't see any reason why this survey cannot be carried out. It's the same way that we are meeting today by teleconference. There is no reason why this survey cannot be completed. What we need is the cooperation of people to participate in the survey, to fill it in and to do it in the usual way we expect, the honest way. And we expect representation from all the classes. And there's some time. We are actually, you know, a bit, if it wasn't for this current situation with COVID, we were well ahead of the game in planning this particular self-study, and there was lots of time. But I can't see the surveys already designed. All you have to do is administer it and give the students an opportunity and time enough to complete it. So I don't see that. And as you said, CAM doesn't come saying, I don't think I feel like accrediting you this time. I've been through this. I've sat on both sides of the fence, if you want. I've sat on the UWI side when we are being accredited, and I've sat as a team member at another school, at other schools across the region. And it's not a matter of coming in. It's not a big stick. We look very carefully and we listen to all the sides, and then we have to make a judgment. Have they met the standard completely? Have they met the standard partially? Have they not met the standard at all? And it's only when there's a large number of standards, or particularly critical standards, that haven't been met, when accreditation becomes in jeopardy. Otherwise, it's a matter of fix it, you know. We give you 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and you need to fix that particular problem. And this has been part of the last 15 years. There have been several things CAM has not been happy with, and we have adjusted and addressed them. And the last letter commended us for the progress that had been made and extended our accreditation to 2021. So, you know, we think we're in a very, very high chance of being accredited. It's just that this situation that we're in brings some uncertainty about the process and how we are going to do it. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Prof. A question was asked if the grading system for this semester, if it was changed to pass or fail, if it would affect accreditation in any way, and if it would, how would it?
I doubt it. There are schools that, every school has, you know, there are schools that have pass-fail exams, and there are schools that have GPA and some that don't have GPA, etc. And you've heard all of those arguments. And CAM has to accredit all of them. Remember the 3 questions that well, I'm not sure you saw the slide, but the slide was the 3 basic questions. You know, does the school have objectives for what they want to do? What do they say they are doing? Then are they doing it? And lastly, how do we know that they are doing it well? Those are the 3 questions, but it doesn't matter what system. You know, we could change the whole exam system. It doesn't mean you won't get accredited.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? You can go ahead.
I was going to ask this question earlier, but I think it's been answered more or less in different ways. It would have been similar to the pass or fail system, but you've been addressing bits of it. So just to confirm, because of how unprecedented or unusual this situation, this crisis is, it's not expected that, you know, any say for example, any worst case scenarios happen in terms of our examinations. If, say for example, we end up not even being able to have examinations any at all for this semester, this year, until next year, that's not likely to threaten our accreditation, because they understand the brevity of the situation and we're given time to go back and address those issues.
Yes, I mean, what we do this year is really kind of to try to fix the immediate situation with students who are basically on the threshold of graduating and getting into the workforce, you know, and we're trying to address that particularly right now. Clearly there are implications, and we won't know what, perhaps next year we'll be having a similar situation. I don't know, but we have to deal with that one, and we're trying to do that, as I said, in the best way possible. But it may mean a change in the way we administer the exam, the type of exam, etc. We want to be fair to the students. I mean, everybody is sympathetic to the students right now. And you almost say you just want to pass them. That's what you really want. But on the other hand, we have to have standards. You can't just push people out into the workforce in medicine. Perhaps you can do that in the bank. Well, maybe not either, but you have to have standards, and that is what this is all about. But what we actually do is less important than the fact that we do it well.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor.
Needy.
Hi, everyone. Does anyone else have any questions? Just go ahead. I just wanted to thank Professor Brandy for taking his time to address this matter.
I don't think there are any more questions, Prof. Brandy.
Okay. I thank you for asking me to do this. I'd like to say that it was so difficult to fit you into my very crowded schedule at the moment, but it's almost like a pleasant occasion for me to be able to speak with you and to do something hopefully useful. And I hope I've addressed some of the questions. Your input is extremely important. I'll just go back to that last point. When the team does come here, hopefully, in person, and they go around, they really spend a lot of time talking to students, formally and informally. And they listen, because you are I almost used the terrible word victims, but you are the clients, you are the persons who we are here for, and the program is here for, and therefore your opinion counts. So it's very important that you participate. Whether or not you agree with everything is not as important as your participation. Nobody would claim that everything that is happening is perfect, and certainly not in this situation. We are doing our best to try to make it so. So I thank you again, and please all stay safe, as they say. Listen to what you're supposed to do and try to do it. And I wish you all the best of luck for those who are about to write this process, those who will be doing it later. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for doing this talk with us. And you have a lot of thank yous coming in from the chat. And we're all very grateful for this talk, and I'm sure we're all going to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. We will provide the recording as soon as possible in whatever mode it is coming from. Thank you once more, Professor Brandy, for having this talk. We will be sending out the survey as soon as Mix is able to, which should be pretty soon. And we ask that you complete it and ask others to complete it. As I stated before, we're trying to have at least 75% of the MBBS student population to complete this survey. So we need all the help we can to ensure that everyone does the survey. Thank you very much, guys. And if you have any further questions, feel free to ask members of the school group, and we will forward it or answer it, depending on if we can answer it or if we need Professor Brandy to ask.
Yes, I will certainly be willing to take any other questions later.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.